Hey, folks! Happy Friday, as always. Andrew and I are delighted to welcome you back once again to the matrix of Wilson math. We've got a triple Wilson show going on today. We've got a special guest, riding on Andrew's side of the camera. We are delighted to bring you, as always, news from the polling front, news from public opinion, things that are going on in the numbers out there, and there are a lot of them. And Wednesday is very,
she agrees.
very
yeah,
excited.
There is a lot happening.
Let's do it. Andrew, take it away.
The nosedive continues.
Oof.
If Trump's administration were a small aircraft,
it would be
terrain,
a smoking hole. Right? Yeah, right. Pull up.
Inflation and cost of living. This is what it's going to come down to.
There it is, Democrats. That's your whole game.
That is the whole game, and it's relatively easy from here. The ads sort of write themselves. Trump doesn't give a shit about what's happening to regular people as far as inflation and cost of living goes. She just, it's screaming for joy.
Oh yes, this is joy. She's expressing her excitement about. She needs the cost of living to go down.
She needs I need the cost of living to go down. But here's the thing. We're going to talk about this a lot today. This is the big issue. Inflation and cost of living is what everyone is talking about. Everyone is thinking about. That's how they're voting.
Yep.
Trump is busy with his other
Distractorama,
which you called it. I think that's an accurate description of what's happening, because there's a million of these different things that he's running as vanity projects and his own personal whatever plans for Washington D.C. It's all nuts, but we'll keep going into this. He's got record low approval ratings. I mean, all across the board. You'll see it in every issue. He's underwater. He's underwater on deportations, immigration, trade, healthcare, civil rights, overall, and way, way, way down on inflation and cost of living. And by the way,
40 under, folks. It doesn't happen. It
doesn't. That doesn't look like it's slowing down.
I know, right? It's like
we're not going.
If you were to do a curve fit equation on that, it's not slowing down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's asymptotically approaching zero.
I think we do have some forecasts too, somewhere in the mix here, and it's just getting worse and worse, and it's worse than I expected. The floor does not exist.
There is no floor.
We keep going down and down and down. And I just love it. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, and none of this stuff is. I mean, look, he's underwater on every issue, including his strongest issues, which are, of course, immigration and border. Even those he's underwater on, guys. He's 15% underwater on those, 10 to 15% underwater on those. Everything is telling Democrats, ride the affordability, gas prices, inflation matrix, all the way to a 40-seat majority in the House.
Yeah, and we just talked about this before we got on, but there's congressional generic ballot polling that I do not think captures the real scope of what's going to happen in November. It's a decent spread for Democrats. It's +10, which is a relatively unheard of in recent years. Yeah. But I truly don't think that doesn't capture what's really about to happen.
Yeah. No, I don't think so either. I mean, and look, we don't have any numbers we can post on this, but I've been briefed on the fact that in Florida, the reddest of red insanity states, the current generic ballot is D+6. I mean, if that turns out to be the case, it's nuclear war.
It's terrifying. I don't know off the top of my head, but a number of these Florida districts, there are some that are deep red. But there are some that are R+4, R+3, and
a lot more of them are now in that. They used to be R+8 and 10. Now they're like R+4 to 5 to 6.
Right, and that's a product of squeezing out extra districts from gerrymandering, and we're going to do that again in Florida. And I think it's interesting that the expectation is that Democrats are going to suffer really a lot from this redistricting in Florida. When we heard that same narrative with Texas, that it was going to be a disaster for Democrats and it was all going to come crashing down in Florida, in Texas. and Democrats were going to be locked out of all those seats forever. Turns out that wasn't the case, and that's not going to be the case in November. And I'm skeptical that even if Ron DeSantis squeezes as hard as possible on this next round of gerrymandering, he's going to get the result that he's going to achieve a result that saves Republicans from an absolute wipeout.
I have a theory of the case of why he did it, and it's not what everybody thinks. Everybody thinks he wants a job with Trump. He wants to be AG or SecDef or get on the Supreme Court. DeSantis, this is the first step in DeSantis' 2028 presidential campaign. I tried to fight the libs, but Trump fucked it up. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah, that's what he's going to say. And he's tried this. He's tried this before. Remember, this is what I find amazing about a future DeSantis campaign. Where's he going to get the money?
Yeah, no, it ain't going to happen. And that world where Ken Griffin writes him a $25 million check does not exist anymore.
No, it does not exist. She sees herself blue eyes.
She loves it.
Yes, she does. I think our slides are currently down.
Where's our slide?
Here we go. This is our generic ballot slide.
Generic ballot. We were just saying this before the call started. The trend line there, if that delta continues to open up, guys, it's going to be hard to reverse that intention with voters. You'll
see what's happening here, right? So December 2025 is when the delta first starts to open up.
Yep.
And I think that's probably when it's post shutdown, when a lot of people started feeling the pain of everything.
Ice,
the snap, the ice. It's all this stuff that happened at the end of last year that was really damaging Trump starts to open up this delta. And then you get to March. Well, what did we do in March? We were in a war with Iran. We're still we are still in the war, despite what the president says. And this is going to open the delta even more. We're only 60 days in. And Trump says that it's over. Republicans in Congress are okay with that. But I believe it is far from over. And the consequences, of course, are far from fully realized.
And I think you've made the case that these generic ballot polls undercount independents, which I think is going to be if you look at where independents are, folks, we've been telling you this for a year, it's 2-1 against on almost every issue, and that is expanding fast.
Yeah. And remember, I've been saying this for a few weeks now too. These generic ballot these poll questions aren't necessarily capturing what I think is the most important metric.
That's the most important metric.
Which is voter enthusiasm. And that's a tough thing to she's giving me all the answers. It's a tough thing to read because voter enthusiasm does fluctuate significantly, and it doesn't necessarily, like when you map it onto independents, it's a little harder to understand how they're gonna behave. Yeah. But I can tell you that MAGA voters and Republicans are feeling extraordinarily demoralized by betrayal after betrayal from Donald Trump. Okay. I don't need any goldfish right now.
So yeah, I mean, look, this is just a tale of woe.
It is. So this is some issue polling, national issue polling. We've got immigration, foreign policy, and the economy. And what I want you to notice here is that so April 2025, and we have each of these is divided into three sections. You see April 2025 and April 2026. Look at the neutral, not familiar numbers. That is shrinking in a significant way.
Yep.
And it is pulling from the neutral and slightly from approval into disapproval.
Into disapproval. Yep.
So what we're seeing is solidifying disapproval of Donald Trump on all these issues. He's not making headway as far as the economy. He's not making headway in foreign policy. And he's pissed a lot of people off as far as immigration.
Yep.
So when you have that environment where fewer and fewer people are neutral,
once they move, they tend to stay where they are.
Disapproval is very sticky, and it does not, and approval less so. especially with regards to something like the economy, which it tends to be something people react to quite strongly when it's doing well, and equally so when it's doing poorly. So you see solidifying disapproval across the board. I'm sure if you map this over independents, it would be even more stark. Fewer and fewer neutral and not familiar. It's a recipe for disaster. I mean, if we were in these circumstances in 2024, Donald Trump would have been a joke candidate. But here we are.
Yeah, I want to point out one other piece of data here in this: the polls from the 2025 cycle or window were registered voters. The 26 cycle are likely voters, which makes this even more impactful against Trump and the Republicans.
Yeah,
because LVs tend to be more informed voters.
Yeah,
and as they are more informed, there are fewer neutrals to be won back. It takes about $2 to buy back a point of negative for every $1 it costs to impose a point of negative. If that makes sense. When you're advertising, if I buy $100 worth of advertising and say so and so's a bad guy, it takes that guy $200 worth of advertising to wash that away. Right. So the hatred of Trump's policies that is accrued here is going to cost them a lot more, and there's just not that much room for them to grow.
No, there's very little room to grow. And somebody's asking, how is he still at 40%? Well, he has a diehard base that will erode somewhat, but you really can't. You really can't do much.
30% of the electorate, guys. If he said go out and drink the poison Kool-Aid, they would go out and drink the poison Kool-Aid.
Yeah. So this is quite the chart. Few approve of how Donald Trump is handling the cost of living. So cost of living is the one at the very bottom. I know this is the title of this chart, but cost of living is here at the bottom. So I want to start with his job as president. The overall approval is at he's 67% disapproval.
Not going to get a lot of crossover Democrats out of this one.
Not going to get no crossover Democrats. Those days are long gone. Yeah. She's trying to spin my chair. She thinks that's funny.
I think it's kind of funny.
On immigration, he's doing extraordinarily poorly for Donald Trump at 59% disapproval. I think it's pretty massive. Iran, I think that's driving a lot of disapproval right now, regardless of whether or not he says it's over.
Yeah.
The economy, I mean, 3-1 against.
I mean, guys, this is a message to Donald Trump, and the message is beware.
Beware. That is a scary number to look at.
80-20 on independence with the economy. Oh,
and it's doom. It's absolute doom for any party or president. And we talked about this last week. His plan is to run. The Republicans' plan is to run on the party platform.
Yeah, good luck.
And not be the Trump party, but that's impossible.
Too late.
Trump will never allow that to happen.
Nope.
It just doesn't work that way. And on cost of living, which is the most important issue that most voters say, he's in a devastating position. I mean, independents 87-12, 87% disapproval on cost of living with independents.
These numbers, folks, when I tell you these are unprecedented numbers that have never been seen before, I mean it.
If you showed me this chart and I had no context, I would think you were just making shit up.
Right. I would think you were throwing shit at the wall, or this was some sort of push-pull or whatever.
And so this is approval compared to second term of his predecessors. Of course, he's below all of them. Joe Biden didn't have a second term. Anyway, close enough.
No, but God Almighty, you look at the brutality of that curve.
It's just devastating. Right at the start of his term, things started to go downhill. You can see Liberation Day. You can see the Iran war. You can see the shutdown all on this chart, where he just cannot recover from these things because he keeps doing it. He keeps pissing people off.
I mean, I look at the fact that this is worse for him than COVID was.
Yeah, that I think is incredible.
I mean, that to me is really striking.
Remember the context of COVID. He was screwing it up in many ways, but he was also doing Operation Warp Speed, which a lot of people said was a lot of people liked. I think people thought that was
a lot
good.
of people liked it.
So this is approval, second term approval with some historical folks in here, including Nixon, which is the one they have at the top here. Nixon at 29.6. And I know that seems really low, and it's shocking that Donald Trump isn't closer to that. But remember that I'm fairly certain that this Nixon poll was either the day before or the week of his resignation.
Yeah.
So he was in a really bad spot.
There's a great piece of Republican lore. Howard Baker, wonderful man, I loved him to death, who was in the Senate at the time, and a couple of other members of the Senate went to Nixon, and they said, "Your presidency is over. This is it. It's over." And that one of the talking points they took to him was, "Your approval rating is so low, you're going to destroy the Republican Party for a generation." And they were right.
And they were right. Yeah, and that's what I think that's what we're seeing now.
The class of 74 brought in here's one more piece of lore. Chuck Schumer came in the class of 74 because of Watergate.
Yeah.
And it set a generation of Republican politics like into the gutter, into the ditch.
So I wonder, in politics, and especially national politics, things move kind of slowly. And party politics is one of those things we've lived with for a long time.
Yeah.
Are we seeing the same scenario? Is it going to be Republicans out for a generation, or is this party going to survive? That's my question. Do they make it out of this in any kind of shape that maintains the power of the Republican Party that we had for the last 50 years? I just don't know if that's possible, considering everything they've done.
I think I think partisanship in this country was defined ideologically for a long time, and by the middle of Trump's second term or first term, party ideology had disappeared to be subsumed by the personality of Trump as the sort of defining characteristic of what the party itself believed in. I think it's harder for them to recover the ideological narrative that
what is the ideological narrative of the Republican Party
that existed before Trump, to say, oh yeah, we're for a prosperous economy with free markets, we're for limited government, we're for strong foreign policy, we're for the traditional the traditional values of personal integrity and civic responsibility. None of that works anymore. They don't want that. And the problem for the Republicans base now is they've been conditioned to worship the orange god.
And this is a good example. This is one of the Distractorama projects that he's been engaged in. And I've said this for a long time. The reason that congressional Republicans and hopeful congressional Republicans can't outrun Trump and can't run on the party platform without making the whole election about Trump is because everything about Republican politics is about Trump.
Yes.
He put himself at the very center of all of this stuff. And, putting his signature on the dollar bill is another example of how he does that. He centers himself in everything because he's truly the most selfish man on the planet.
And he wants them to have to suffer.
He wants them to,
he wants them to have to say, I love Trump so much, I will give him whatever he wants. And the politics of all this crap, Ballroom, DC Arch,
the reflecting pool,
the reflecting pool, for fuck's sake. All of these things have come down to the passport. I'm glad my passport doesn't expire till 28. But look, all of these things essentially accrue to Trump. As you said, he's the center of everything. And all of these candidates have to come out and say, yes, I support the arch. I support his signature on the dollar bill. I support Ballroom.
You can't help but laugh because it's so goofy. I mean, they have to come out and agree with the most insane projects that you've ever heard of in your life, they have to come out and say, essentially, I think Trump should hang his poster on more government buildings. It's just nuts.
I saw last weekend when Renee were at the Correspondence Weekend up there in D.C., I saw a Republican operative that I've known for, God, I don't know, 25, 30 years almost. And I was like, how miserable are you on a scale of 1 to 10? He says, listen, I'm thinking about going and taking up being like a plumber or a roofer, because he goes, all my clients are going to get blown out.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a person who represents a bunch of people in the House, a bunch of people in the Senate. And he's like, all of my clients are getting blown out. None of their polling is good. And it's all because they have to get up every morning and say the sun rises in the east, and its name is Donald Trump. And I was like, you knew this was coming, man. You knew this was coming. You knew this was going to happen. And they all still have this weird belief that after the primaries are over, they're going to find a way to like open some distance up with Trump, where they'll issue some mild criticism of some. I don't like the tone of that tweet. And that I doubt it. I doubt they'll even do that. And that'll do it for the voters. I think it's crap. They're never going to do it.
I don't think they'll even do that.
No. Oh God, no. Oh God,
that would be shocking. And the idea that somehow out of the ether, anti-Trump Republicans are going to appear in the party roster. It's nonsense. It's never going to happen. They already pushed all of those people out.
Yep.
They already said, we don't want any of that in the party anymore. We don't accept that. You're not getting them back. You're not bringing those people back in. And who is left to vote for Republicans? Just MAGA.
Yep.
And MAGA doesn't give a shit about congressional Republicans. All they care about is Trump. Again, because Trump puts himself in the center of all of it. So, I mean, there's not a good way to win.
Right. And we keep the slides popped up before here. But guys, Texas, James Tallarico, and that's a decent poll, by the way. Tallarico leading Paxton by 5 points.
Tallarico leading Cornyn by 3 points.
Cornyn by 3 points.
I think it's incredible.
It is bonkers. It is batshit. And look, between the dummy mander in Texas and Tallarico pulling these numbers in April, May now, but April when this poll was taken, is a seismic event.
Mm.
The NRSC has already dumped like $100 million into this race. It's not going to get any better for them. I'm stunned that they're spending this money in Texas, where they should be playing defense in Alaska, which it seems like that's slipping out of their hands right now. And Maine. And now that Mills is out of that race, I mean, don't you think Plattner's going to just roll this thing up now?
I think he will. He's extraordinarily popular in Maine. We haven't looked at any approval polling, I don't think, for Plattner, but he is very popular with Maine.
The energy for him is through the roof.
Huge. And they've tried to nuke him.
They tried to stop him. They tried to nuke him. Yeah. You know what? He's a guy. Plattner is a guy who has rough edges. I resemble that remark. Okay, I get it. He has some rough edges on him, and I got to tell you, that I don't think any of the people in Chuck Schumer's world who were trying to push Janet Mills on Maine are going to wake up on election day and go, "Oh man, we made a mistake."
Yeah, I doubt it.
He is getting her out of that race. Will unify the party, and it will put Susan Collins at a disadvantage because Plattner has more energy than Susan Collins does by a billion miles.
By quite a lot. And I've said this offline a few times, but if they wanted to not have Plattner as the candidate, they wouldn't have put up an octogenarian as his opponent.
There were other options than Janet.
There were other options. And Janet Mills is popular in the state, but she's just not. She's not young enough to.
Yeah, I have no hate on. And it's somebody asked me, they're like, "Why do you hate Janet Mills?" I'm like, I don't hate Janet Mills.
Mainers don't hate Janet Mills.
I want a candidate who can go out there and I know what the people who run Susan Collins' campaign are. I know them. One of the guys that runs her campaign stuff was a good friend of mine for 30 years. I know how they think. I know what they're going to do. And the problem with Mills was that she's like oatmeal. and she would never run the campaign against Colin.
Yeah.
Wednesday also endorses Graham Plattner.
we got off a little off track. We were talking about Tallarico in Texas, but I think that's a significant thing. Even if he's beating Cornyn by X number of points, it tells you that even the Republicans who are long established, who are relatively considered to be relatively moderate, are in serious danger. And I want to talk about the money for a second. I know we have more polling to get to, but there comes a point where we talked about the value of $1 for bringing over somebody from Disapproval. There comes a point where there isn't enough money in circulation to spend to win enough races that Republicans can save themselves. They have a massive war chest, and they have a huge amount of money, which they're already blowing through.
The burn rate is insane,
and it is insane. And eventually, they will have to make some choices about what races do we let who do we let die, and who do we try to save. They've
already decided that they're going to Whatley in North Carolina. They've already killed him. That's the first real triage.
He's done. And speaking of triage, there is a conundrum when you're triaging races where you could make a mistake, where you cut one race that was winnable and you spend all of your money trying to win another one. And that always happens. It's impossible to avoid. They're going to blow through a huge amount of cash. And I don't think the value for their dollar is very good.
And look, there is a weird vibe. When we were in DC, we were doing the usual run around parties, see people, go to get drinks with people, all that stuff. And my Republican people that I knew from the past, there's a sort of like last days of disco feeling about this. It's like the party is going to stop soon. I'm going to rape and pillage as much as I can this year. I'm going to try to get through, this last cycle because it's going to be the last disaster. And a lot of these people are my age, some a little older, some a little younger, but mostly in my demo, where a lot of them have made their compromise to work in the MAGA universe. But they now are seeing that the MAGA universe is politically untenable at this point.
It's a black hole. So
they're gonna collect the maximum amount of Quan in this campaign that they possibly can.
Yeah. So we have some more polling on his cognitive decline, Donald Trump's cognitive decline, in fact.
Which is so real,
and so powerful, and he's got a great mind.
Many people say I passed more cognitive tests than anyone.
I mean, the cognitive tests, we've been just going round and round and round about this for years. And if you hadn't noticed, Donald Trump is senile. So 35% of people say he's suffering from significant cognitive decline. 13% say modest cognitive decline, and just 1/3 say he's not suffering from any cognitive decline.
There's the MAGA base right there.
There's the MAGA base. And you can see it. Let's see. 78% of MAGAs say he's not suffering from any cognitive decline.
There you have it.
Ding, ding, ding. Let's look at independents by party ID. 35 and 16% say he's suffering from at least some kind of cognitive decline.
Mm-hmm.
When half of independents say that you're suffering from cognitive decline, you tend to lose to Joe Biden. This is what sank
I'm not sure
Joe
how
Biden.
that column came out to 101%, but let them have their math.
Yeah, interesting. Not sure how that happened. Must this AI polling.
You know what it is? It's just sample size.
Yeah, it is. And this is what sank Joe Biden. And it is surprising to me that it is not more damaging to Donald Trump, because it's so obvious if you watch him speak that he cannot, that he is not in control of his functions.
No.
Let's see. Democrats, obviously,
African Americans, when you have 62% saying he's suffering from cognitive decline.
I think this is interesting.
That's actually not nothing.
So if you break down it by race, you can see that Hispanics and Black Americans are more likely to say that, slightly more likely to say that Donald Trump is suffering from cognitive decline. Here's what's interesting. Hispanics and Black Americans are somewhat more likely to have a parent or an older relative at home.
Yes.
And that means they would have more experience seeing potential cognitive decline. So the people who are more familiar with cognitive decline are probably more likely to say that Donald Trump is suffering from cognitive decline because they're speaking from experience.
Yep, really.
I mean, obviously, white people go through the same kind of things.
But when you also look at the male-female differential there, women are more likely to be caregivers of senior parents who are suffering from cognitive decline.
Yeah, much more likely to see these kinds of things. College grads, I think, you probably just have a more deep familiarity with neurology in general. This is going to be. I don't know that cognitive decline is necessarily Trump's legacy because of all the other nasty and horrible things that he's done.
Right.
But this is what's causing all this insanity. I mean, he's clearly not in control of any functions. And the delusional belief that he could, be in and out of Iran in 2 weeks, I can't ascribe anything to that other than senility. I mean, that has to be some kind of insane, old man brain. It just doesn't make sense.
No, and I think and I don't know who made this point the other day. Somebody made this point in our circle who said, Trump, as his cognitive abilities decline, he goes back to what he thinks he's good at, being a builder. So he thinks the ballroom is like a thing he's going to be good at, or the arch, or redecorating the White House and turning it into like the Liberace Saddam disco palace or whatever. But yeah, he is on. Yeah, that's right, Tiffany. He's on borrowed time.
He is.
Listen, the actuarial tables are undefeated, and it comes for us all until, of course, I'm uploaded to the cloud.
Hey, it's coming any day now. God, we got to keep Donald Trump from being uploaded to the cloud.
No, please don't upload Donald Trump.
Please don't do it. Please don't do
it. I will say great things about Grok if they refuse to upload it. I promise.
The only good thing about Grok is that it's capable of scraping Twitter, and you can see what people have said for years and years and years.
Well, I think that's all of our slides today.
I think it is. Man,
what a day.
Just to wrap it all up, I think, there's no coming back from this. We've talked about that a million times, but it is still a mystery to me, like how far down he can go. It's actually less and less clear as days go by. Earlier in the year and maybe last year, late last year, you and I were saying, there's a floor for Donald Trump.
Yeah, we were.
That was the logic. That was the logic that we were all sticking to, was that there was a floor, especially on certain issues, especially immigration and the economy. That there's a floor for Donald Trump.
Apparently,
that appears to not be the case.
And the reason that floor is broken is, yes, there's been a drop off of Republican approval at the top, in that higher income bracket of MAGAs, more educated, higher income MAGAs, the Lincoln Project's targets. The people that Lincoln Project and Lincoln Project advocacy talk to all the time. The independents have been the killer app, though. They've been the thing that's absolutely gutted him.
Yep. Oh, man. Oh, we didn't talk about the shooting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's already gone away. Just like Trump never mentions the guy in Butler.
No.
And never mentions the guy, because the guy got in through security that was so lax. Terrible security. I told this story last night. A friend of mine texted me. Renee and I were at the Puck party, right on the same grounds.
Yeah.
And he said, where are you guys? I'm like, oh, we're at Puck, but we're not staying. We're not going to the dinner. He goes, if you want to, I'll just text you my QR code and you can use it to get in. Everybody else is getting in. There's no screening at all. There was no screening. They ran mags, but there was no real screening.
Oh my God.
And For fuck's sake.
What I noticed with this shooting was that it all happened, and all the MAGA influencers did what they did after Butler, which was all come together and have the same line. They said the same stuff.
You can't criticize Trump, or
you have to have the ballroom. They trotted out the stupid clips from years and years ago. Every time it went over like a
folks. Watch my podcast with Ashley Sinclair, who was a former MAGA influencer. She was recruited by TPUSA when she was 19. She's smart and attractive and articulate, and she was a perfect weapon. And she's like, nope, I'm out. I'm not doing this anymore. It was a great interview about the MAGA influencer industrial complex, but you could see it playing out the night of the shooting.
And then what was the reaction from Americans? It was, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Another one.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah. It was really flat, and people didn't react the same way they did after Butler. And of course they tried to make that happen, but I think those days are gone.
Jumping into we must build the ballroom was not the answer they wanted.
No.
All right,
terrible.
Folks. Well, thank you, Andrew. I see our assistant has left the studio.
She has departed.
She's off exploring.
She's got a heart out.
She had a heart out, right? Exactly. All right, everybody. We will see you again next Friday here on Behind the Numbers. Thank you so much for joining us as always. You can catch me, as you know, Tuesday nights on the strategy session, Thursday nights on the breakdown, Friday mornings right here on Behind the Numbers, Sundays with Molly Jung, Fast on Fast Politics. You can also catch me at my Substack Against All Enemies. Out.